Yeah, good morning and welcome again to Summit, the program that comes to you from MITV here in Lagos. It sure is good to be with you again today. My name is Jumoke Michaels. You're welcome. Banji.
Yeah, Jumoke, I'm glad to be here at my duty post. Yes, when duty calls, what do you do? So I'm glad to join you to have this midweek edition of our program, Summit. My name is Banji Busari.
Yes, today we are talking about security. A lot seems to have been happening since the beginning of the year. There were a lot of an issue came up in Kogi State, where 23 people actually died in one local government area in that state, and so many. One of the military convoy that was also attacked yesterday. And then the governor of Borno State, a lot just seems to be happening.
A lot seems to be happening.
Yeah.
In the president's letter to the federation, to the nation, that's January 1st, he actually did mention that the administration is winning the war against terrorism and all these other security challenges, that's kidnapping and all that. But he also posed a question, that's the question on how to win the peace, that they seem to be winning the war against insurgency and all this. But the problem is how to win the war against peace. That's to winning the peace is very, very important. But then, Jumoke, you know that despite the fact that the military has repeatedly told us that it's winning the war against insurgency and all that, I mean, the facts on ground point to another direction. I mean, the Boko Haram seems to be unrelenting, and they come up from time to time to attack our men. Some military men have actually even petitioned the presidency, National Assembly, and some other agencies that they don't seem to be getting the required treatment from their boss in terms of putting them in the right frame of mind, welfare, equipment, and all that to prosecute the war.
In spite of the huge budget.
So it goes to show that, despite our claims that we are winning the war, the fact on ground says something different.
I even got worried. During the Bayelsa and Kogi state elections, when the IGP of police actually said that his men got overpowered by men who were in uniform, who were more, they had more arms and they were more well-groomed than his own men. I got worried when he made that statement, showing that things are really not balanced when it comes to this issue of insecurity. I got scared at that point.
Yeah, Nigerians, you are not the only person that's worried. Nigerians generally are worried. And I believe some governors are equally worried. In the Southwest, you are aware that the Southwest governors, about 6 of them, have actually come together and said, look, we cannot continue to over-rely on the federal security from at the federal level. That there's a need for an outfit that will specifically cater for the interest of the Southwest states. As far as security is concerned. So Amotekun is going to be launched tomorrow, but the questions are how ready, how well prepared are these people to take on the security challenges. I'm told that they are going to be paid 13,000. That's each person. So 13,000 naira for what? So for individuals to risk his or lives to protect your lives are mine. So do you think the preparation is adequate? So these are some of the issues that I think we should actually be probing on this episode of the program.
All right, so today we're talking security, and like we always do, would like to encourage you to be part of this discussion. I know this is the kind of discussion Nigerians actually like to respond to, especially with the level of things right now. So you send us an SMS. Please, we'll continue to reiterate that we prefer you to send us SMS instead of calling. So please, when we put the number on the screen, you can begin to send us your messages with your names and where you're sending the message from, and we'll get to read out your message on the program. So please, we'll stay with us. We'll take a quick break, and then when we return, we'll have our guest with us to continue the discussion. Please don't go away. We'll be Thanks for still being there. The program is still Summit in case you're just joining us. We said today we're talking about the insecurity in Nigeria. What's the way forward? And joining us for this discussion this morning, we have a well-versed public affairs analyst. It's always a delight having him on our program Summit. Join me, welcome Mr. Jide Ologun. He's also an attorney at law. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Good to have you. I always enjoy having you, sir. And that's the truth.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we are actually looking at reviewing situations in the country as far as security is concerned. Our president is concerned, and in a paragraph or two of the letter that he actually did to us, Nigerians, he actually did mention that this administration is winning the war against insurgency, but they are also concerned about winning the peace. Now, about a week ago, the Chief of Army Staff came up and said, military will be withdrawn from certain areas where there seems to be peaceful for now, and they will be replaced by the constitutionally approved security agency, that's the police, to man those areas. Now, the police has also come up to say they are ready to actually take up that responsibility. But they have not actually told us how ready. Police, we know the challenges already confronting the police managing the internal security. When it comes to adding this big task, are you sure the police is actually ready to actually cover up in those areas, particularly in the northeast, to do the job of securing the nation?
Great question. Let's pick it up from the most recent encounter with the Nigerian police in terms of managing crisis. I make reference to the last election in Kogi State, where the Inspector General of Police himself admitted to the world that fake policemen overpowered the Nigerian police. And if that statement is anything to go by, I can confidently tell you that the police may not be well equipped to manage the war we have in Nigeria. I'm deliberately using the terminology war because even the commander of Lafiya Dole made reference to the fact that we have a war now. Senator Ndume also made that statement that the president may not change the service chiefs now because we are in a war. So obviously, it's just like a joke to me. I respect that intention, but as a matter of personal opinion, I consider it to be a governance blackmail. And I will link it with antecedents. I guess that some have deliberately allowed a high level of insecurity that will make people come begging for the involvement of the military. And it featured during the elections, and I said it at a point, if we have come to the point in this country when kings leave their domains to go to Aso Villa to beg for security in their domains, we are in serious trouble. You see, so I suspect that some are likely to have deliberately nurtured insecurity in the nation, and it's quite unfortunate because, again, the promise of this regime as far back as 2014, before the 2015 election, is that they will deal with the insecurity. But in industrial psychology, you talk about reinforcement theory. As at that point in time, we were dealing with a local insurgency in quotes, the Boko Haram. And today we have the Islamic State of West Africa province. So in industrial psychology, we have reinforced that level of terrorism and crime. So the big question is that, are we making progress or regressing? And right now, all the sectors of our national life have experienced the massive insecurity we have. National Assembly, traditional rulers, to the extent that it's quite frightening traveling around Nigeria. And we can see how kidnappers have been ravaging the peace of the nation. So I will just say that I have not seen a serious reflection of combating the insecurity in the country. So I just see that as a blackmail, because what may happen eventually is that people will now start begging, no, don't withdraw the soldiers, don't withdraw the soldiers. And we are talking about democracy. All right. But I believe that my country can deal with the terrorism and the war that's going on in this country, because where there is a will, there is a way. But I have not seen that will.
All right, in saying that the police are not ready to tackle the level of insecurity we have now, are you saying that in the because the humongous budget that's always been afforded the military does not have any impact with the police and making them ill-equipped to face this kind of insurgency?
You know, I benchmark my comments on the reports we have concerning the ammunition available to these criminals. When you have terrorists, we call them insurgents. They are not insurgents. Insurgency is fighting for a cause. So what cause are they fighting for? The Western education is prohibited. Who is producing the bomb they are using and the weapons they are using? You see, so they have high-profile ammunition. In fact, recently, the federal government rolled out a caution, a caveat, that these terrorists may be engaging chemical weapons. And I think this is to scare the people. But like the elders will say, when the sky is falling down, it's not a one man's business. But I am troubled. If this is the Nigeria we all know and that we are all proud of, look at what we did in the days of ECOMOG. How we have helped other countries contain acts of criminality in their regions, and yet we've come to the point where our military, despite all the efforts and the budget, like he said, appear to be overwhelmed. Recently, the governor of Borno State was in a hot argument with the chief of army staff. The chief of army staff was claiming that the terrorists are not occupying any part of the state, and the governor was in disagreement with that statement. Look at what happened earlier this week when the governor was held down in a serious traffic congestion, and he spoke that the military guys that are supposed to be manning the checkpoints were demanding bribe. Passengers also confessed to the camera between 500 and 1,000 because they are checking identity card, and this positive identification they are planning to extend it to around the country. So are we in a slavery state? So where's the security? Where's the security? And the response will be that no, a person of the caliber of the governor should not make such a statement because it will dampen the morale of the fighting the victory of insurgency. Again, some soldiers in Yobe State have complained now that they have been neglected and that some superior officers are taking advantage of them. So when you talk about the resources released to them, I think we have failed in securing this nation. And I doubt if I owe anybody any apology on that. This is not the Nigeria we knew. So it's either we have a group of persons who are feeding fat on this. It's on record that the President of America disclosed to us that they support this country at least with $1 billion annually in terms of all this security. In November 2018, yes, the excess crude account of Nigeria was depleted by 73% in 3 weeks. All in the name of we have spent so much on our weakness. But I believe that it's just a deliberate, wasteful venture we have embarked upon, because I can also bring references. I mean, in law, you present your evidences. I know this government has the capacity to deal with the insecurity in Nigeria. After all, where is El Zazaki? How has the government dealt with the Shiite movement? So by the time we wake up to the realization that a secure environment is a prerequisite for prosperity, then those who are in authority will do the needful.
People have said it repeatedly that you just mentioned the Shiite, the Shiite movement. Of course, they are not comparable with the insurgents or terrorists, as you may call it. The insurgents are amorphous. You don't even know them, and it's more or less a guerrilla war.
You don't know them, but those who know them know them.
I do not think anybody who knows them will want to cover them. But then again, based on even what you said, and I said it earlier on, that amongst the rank and file of the military, there seems to be distrust and mistrust. Some time ago, we heard of a case, a kind of an intelligence that failed. The army was set for a kind of war with the Boko Haram. Unknown to them, the information had leaked to the Boko Haram, and they laid ambush, and it was so fatal on the part of the Nigerian army. So let's look at even within the army itself. Do you think army is cohesive and is focused enough to actually win the war, as the president has claimed?
If we use the concept of returns on investment, we come to a conclusion that the cohesion is not there, and somebody must be taking disadvantage somewhere. And permit me also to bring in the case of expectations and experience. You expect that we should be secured by those who are trained to do that, even though the army is to prevent external aggression, then the police to handle the internal security. You recall the case of Hamisu, Alhaji Hamisu, otherwise known, also known as Wadume. A big time alleged kidnapper was arrested by trained Nigerian police officers of high ranks, and a soldier led a team to kill the policemen even though they identified themselves. Took this accused kidnapper away, released him from the handcuffs, and allowed him to escape. And the policemen rearrested the kidnapper, but the military has not released the captain who led the team that freed the kidnapper for prosecution. You see, these things are obvious. They are obvious. How many cases are we going to talk about? Are we now saying that the governor of Borno State, who is screaming of the bribery, will we say he is drunk, or that he is a toddler and does not know what is? These things are obvious, but perhaps some Nigerians are too afraid to confront the system. So and if you bring up the concept of professionalism, are they there to collect bribes? And by extension, I think also that some policies are being implemented to oppress the people.
As we implemented to oppress us.
Now, yes,
that's the identification exercise.
I'm coming to that. You are saying that you have to show your ID card. You are saying you must possess this identification before you can register for joint admission, the JAMB exam. Now go to Alausa in Ikeja, where the office is. You see a crowd of people who get there as early as 4:45 a.m. treated like animals. Some have been trying to get this whatever it is for 1.5 years. They are being extorted. Money is collected from them. So who is fooling who? And yet you must get this. We are not even making the procedures easy. In the midst of this, you're talking about increasing the electricity tariff, increasing the right of way levies for telecoms industry, different kinds of, so we need to sit back and once again try to study and come to terms with the principles of good governance and the essence of having a government in a society. We may be branded as criticizing, but if I sit here to say anything that is not obvious in terms of realities, then let God judge me. We all say these things. Some of us cannot deny it. It's not the way to go.
Okay, so much has been said about the security architecture of this country, how effective it has been over the time where you and I are living witnesses. But let's actually project. This is 2020, and the budget has just been approved, and there's so much is actually allotted to, just as Jumoke said. what kind of configuration are you actually looking at as far as security architecture is concerned, such that what we have done in the past may not necessarily fit into what we're actually looking forward to?
Sir, the recommendations about good governance that have been generated in Nigeria alone can manage the whole world and deliver prosperity, which is one thing to know your problems, to know the solutions, and to implement. Simple thing. We are talking about even national ID card. How have the banks been able to cope with giving people ATM cards? Technology. Look at what happened. The USA going to hit the strongman of Iran. I'm not endorsing that, but you can see the clinical approach. All right. But here we are. Chibok girls kidnapping, the drama, eventually Dapchi girls. We saw the shoddy way in which that script was acted, huge ransom collected. So I suspect that some are benefiting so much from the insecurity. So perhaps when they repent and they realize that the generation of those who shed blood end up being beggars, and that the best you can do to a society is to prosper the society, we achieve results. And we see them in their own private circles. Recently in Borno State, one of the big guys in the top ministry, he did wedding for the children. They locked down Maiduguri. We see them. They are secured. But the masses are exposed to insecurity. But I keep saying it. The insecurity of one is the insecurity of all.
So are you saying the security sector reform is actually not feasible as we speak, with maybe with the leadership in place now, presently?
When the leadership decides to have positive results, we will have it. I'm speaking in code. Let's all go and sit down and study it. We started from Boko Haram. Now we are dealing with Islamic States of West Africa. Then ISIS is also involved at the international level. And a nation that is swimming in insecurity, we have gone to open our borders with the visa on arrival policy. I mean, I cannot comprehend this. And strangers are streaming into this country. We are even registering them. We are registering them.
And that seems to be flowing easily.
I like being practical. Please, great Nigerians, those who are watching us, take a ride through Ikeja. Tell me if you can count 7 junctions where these guys have not occupied. Majority of them don't have homes. I will tell you, go to the back of Customs Training School, Toyin Street, they are there. So where is the secured future we are talking about?
So much.
You see, so it's much. I don't understand this policy.
Let's bring it down to Southwest. A couple of months ago, 2019, I mean midway to 2019, series of security challenges actually came up, particularly with the death of Bisola Koni, which actually shook the nation. The Southwest governors actually rose, I mean, in a reaction to the development, and they came up with a promise that they would actually start a security outfit to take care of the Southwest. They've come up with that, and that is tagged Amotekun. The Amotekun is a security outfit that will take care of people in the southwestern part of this country. And some of them have even recommended it to other regions of this country. Now, tomorrow is the official launch of Amotekun. Do you think Amotekun is also, would you say it's a template or a kind of model to recommend to other regions of this, to actually find a lasting solution to our security challenge?
I commend that effort brought together by the Southwest leaders, because it is said that when the desirable is not available, the available becomes desirable. But let me roll out this satire. It should be troubling if you visit me at home as a father and you see me having my own kitchen, my wife has her own kitchen, the children have their stoves in their rooms, so we all cook differently, and yet we are a family. I think there's a governance failure in Nigeria. Constitutionally, under the presidential system we operate, it is the responsibility of the federal government to secure the nation. And for that purpose, we have the Ministry of Defense. And the mandate of the Ministry of Defense, if you Google it, is to embark on intelligent approach to ensure maximum security for this country. We have, and there are three main areas of security needs. You have the air, you have the sea, you have the land. That's why you have the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Air Staff, and the Chief of Naval Staff. And you now have parastatals, the NDLEAs and all of them. I think about 8 of them or so are empowered to carry arms and ammunition. And now, the center cannot secure us again. We are beginning to have our own pseudo security apparatus. How are we going to coordinate? And I was monitoring. I think those who will be recruited eventually may be earning about 13,000 naira. And you are going to deal with kidnappers that collect 60 million ransom. And they have high level ammunition. I wish them the best. But I think we will rather rise up as a serious people and engage the government to deliver on governance responsibilities. Because it's worrisome. In the Borno state, the governor also embarked on employing hunters with voodoo power. In this 21st century. In this 21st century. And these terrorists are bringing rocket launchers.
Maybe the strength,
overrunning military base.
Maybe the strength of the Amotekun personnel, that's those who will be in charge, is that they are the locals. They have the information. They are close to the grassroots. So they probably know the terrain very well, such that when kidnappers come, at least they are ahead of them in terms of information.
Sitting down here, I do not belong to any security agency, but I'm giving out intelligence report. Go to Toyin Street. Go to Tinuade Street on Allen Avenue. Go. You see people, you see human beings you can approach. You, what's your business? They live by the roadside, they operate by the roadside, you know. The report, the intelligence is there. It's there. So it's not a matter of not having the intelligence. And again, the level of the economy we operate has made almost everyone vulnerable. Have we not read of policemen, with all due respect for their efforts, who shoot bus drivers because of 200 naira? There's a recent report in Bayelsa State. Mobile policeman just arguing, killed the driver, shot a youth copper, and killed another person. You see, have we not read the Apapa gridlock of naval officers, soldiers, collecting bribe? So when you have a vulnerable economy, people are exposed to different levels of corruption. You see, so like I said, I appreciate all these efforts, but in this age and time, we must step up our games and see how things are done in the global environment. We are still physically monitoring pipelines in Nigeria. Go and study Saudi Arabia. It's done technologically. So I'm just requesting that we deliver on governance.
Now,
all right, let me just ask that would like you to begin to send in the SMS on what we're discussing. The phone is ringing, but like I said, would prefer that you send us SMS. Please just take your time to type out your contribution to the topic we are discussing, and we'll read out your message. Remember to include your name and your location to your message. Thank you.
Now, while we're actually discussing all this, the recent development is that you recall that when President Muhammadu Buhari actually came on board, one of the first assignments he actually embarked on was to seek the cooperation, mobilizing all our neighbors towards, the fight against insurgency. And an international coalition was raised. Niger, Mali, Chad, Cameroon, about 5 or 6 nations were part of it. The recent development is that Nigerian troops have withdrawn. What does that suggest to you? What do you think will be happening?
I think there are several sides to it, but the prominent one is the fact that the closure of the land border may be responsible for that, and that their assignments in monitoring the border lines is expired, so they need to withdraw. But having said that, because there are some hidden things, do we know now that in the 2020 budget, an amount of money has been set aside to construct a railway line to Maradi? Maradi is one of the large cities in the Niger Republic. Do we know that right now there is a joint venture construction of refinery between Nigerian border and Niger border, precisely in Katsina? All right, and you begin, and you saw the governors of Niger Republic coming to campaign in Nigeria for the presidential candidate. You see, so you begin to question the national interest. And again, went to Egypt, opened up our airspace.
Before you actually proceed, if there's such an understanding, synergy between Niger and Nigeria, to the extent of establishing this big project, what would lead to the withdrawal of the troops?
I've said it. From what I read, I think the border closure is impacting them, and you know also that the government told us they are discussing. So maybe they are tired, or
so what about the vulnerability of our people?
Exactly, at that level.
You see, if I have a friend who is married, and I go settling quarrel between him and his wife, I think someday I may need to advise him, that young man, best wishes. So if you think you are a man, put your house in order. And if you don't want to be a man, please leave me alone, let me rest. All nations have their problems. The Western countries came, America, all of them, during the days of the Chibok girls kidnapping. What could they do? There's a trending report now of somebody saying there was a huge effort to deal with insurgency in Nigeria, but our internal system frustrated it. I've said it, sir. I've said it, man. With all humility and great respect to God and humanity, some of us can bring investors to this country that will solve our electricity problem. But are we ready to allow them? Most recently, the minister was talking about cabals. So when we are ready, under the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, there is room for partnership. Let me ask you this simple question. Please, great Nigerians, those who are watching us, can you allow Donald Trump to come and deal with insurgency in Nigeria?
Of course, the sovereign, we're a sovereign nation.
I'm saying now, let's forget about sovereignty. That the personality of Donald Trump, the man Donald Trump, is elected into office in Nigeria to deal with insurgents. Look at what the man did, even outside his borders.
No.
He went to Syria. Hey, I don't want that. Went to Afghanistan. Sir, where there is a will, there is a way. Mike Murdoch said you don't complain about what you condone. I think we are condoning crime.
There's talking
and
about
insecurity in Nigeria.
Proactiveness towards addressing issues is what you are trying to use to define.
Exactly. This is a local problem. Why can't we deal with it?
But you are aware that even some of his actions have been queried by even the National Assembly there. I mean,
Sir. Anyway, we don't have time for all this.
Consultations were not carried out.
You know, sir. Anyway, I know that Nigerians are very brilliant and they can pick between the lines. You see, anything that leads your people to poverty must be dealt with.
All right, what about the issue of the military leaders now? Talking about the naval, air force, and military. Now, none of them are really being held accountable. Like maybe at the end of maybe each year, you say, okay, give account. What did you do this year? How well did you operate? What were the areas where you had complete success? Where are the areas where you still need assistance? You know, things like that.
They do the meetings. My president meets with the. I disclosed to us that Senator Ndume said why the president cannot change the service chiefs is because we are in a war. They meet and the president is satisfied. I'll give you a brilliant example. When Benue State was boiling and there was mass killing, mass burial, my president went to Benue State and disclosed that the Inspector General of Police, the former Inspector General of Police, disobeyed him. And he invited him for a meeting. And they met. And the man continued in office. So what do you tell that, sir? What do you say about that? In the boardroom. What do you say? So I believe that my president is satisfied with the level of performance. Great. He's the commander-in-chief. But history is recording. We can do better. That I know. This is Nigeria. I love Nigeria. My country is great. No. Recently, my president was telling them in Burkina Faso that we will not tolerate terrorism. And we look at home. We have it here. At the time we went to Ghana and was offering to help Ghana with corruption, and Ghana said, go and check the index. You are worse than Ghana in corruption. So go and deal with it. We are helpless, running helter-skelter about headers who are killing. In Ghana, Ghana flushed out criminal headers. So what are we saying? We need to wake up.
Now, President actually referred to winning the war in his speech in the letter to the nation. But he also spoke about efforts to win peace. Now, what do you think he meant, and how should he go about it?
I've said it constitutionally. The Constitution of Nigeria, if you read chapter 2, says that the primary purpose of government is the security and the welfare of the people. And that is the war the president must win. If he wins it, he will be recorded on the golden side of history to have prospered his people, to have brought peace to the land. If he does not win it, by the time he leaves office, the record will be there. Recently, he himself said that he thinks that he hopes history will
remember him for good.
Remember him for good. That is our prayer for him. We want our leaders to succeed. But your vision is different from mine, sir. For example, this year I have set a goal in wealth creation. I'm going to pay myself at least 2 persons minimum wage per month. That means I will save 2,000 naira daily, God helping me. So that by the end of the year, by grace of God, if I have over 700,000 naira in savings. Another person's goal may be to taste all the alcohol that will be produced in 2020. So we have different goals. But one thing I know is that Nigeria is a great nation. Look at Rwanda. A leader rose up and said, no, I don't want ethnicity in this country anymore. I want prosperity. And they outlawed ethnicity. It's one of the fastest growing economies in the world. Look at the bulldozer in Tanzania, John Magufuli. John Magufuli came to office, went to visit the public hospital, saw patients on the floor, and he sacked as many as possible. Right now, healthcare in Tanzania is looking up. That was the time they wanted to celebrate their independence. And the man asked them, what independence are you celebrating? He gave me the money, let me fix the health sector. He cut down the budget on public officers going on first class flights around the world. But here we are in my great nation that God has overblessed, in quote. We are proposing to spend 37 billion naira to renovate a Senate building.
All right, let me just
when we are struggling to pay minimum wage. I mean, we need to get serious.
Let me just read some of the messages we have here before our time is fast spent. We have this one from Bayo Adedokun from Toyin Street in Ikeja. He said, good morning, Mr. Ologun. Please, you are saying the truth. Let everyone secure their family. No security in Nigeria at all. That's from him. And I have another one here. Please, those calling, just send us an SMS. We'll read out your message. This person is Moses from Egbeda here in Lagos. He said, my brother, you are very right. My concern is that the Southwest leaders are not worried because they have security around them. I pray when it explodes, it will not consume us all. So many messages this morning. Good morning, Mr. Ologun. I'm Bidemi by name. My question is, can we still solve this matter? And how can we overcome it? I will respond to that. Let me just go on. Good morning. Donald Trump can't be allowed to deal with insurgency, especially because we don't have the financial capacity. Is that right? That's Kazim Bamigboye from Ogun State. The governor said the governors should wake up to security matters in this area. Behind Fagba is in a mess and vulnerable to citizens. Come quickly, Governor. This is from
Governor Sanwo-Olu.
Governor Sanwo-Olu. This is Ifi. I came into Lagos January 2019, and all those non-Nigerians are too much in Lagos. Please let the government do something about it, please. Let me just read this last one. The messages are entering. I am Pastor Peter Abiodun Amokeodo from Lagos. God will forgive our nation. We are all sinners. Let's go back to our Lord. This is wages of our sin, not big English can solve the security problem. All right, so which one of them do you want to react to?
Let me respond to the possibilities that we have.
Okay.
And let me use the case of the DSS. Recently, the DSS desecrated the judiciary. And the DG is still in office. The first time a DG of DSS tried it, went to block the National Assembly. The acting president then, who is our vice president, sacked him. So when there are no consequences, anything goes. And God will preserve us to see a new Nigeria where things will work. It's all about leadership. We've used the example of Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew, it's about leadership, decided that this country must prosper. It's of blessed memory, and he achieved it. I have used the example of the UAE, United Arab Emirates, where Sheikh Zayed transformed that desert to a paradise. So may God keep us alive. But we keep repeating it, like one of the the feedback stated, that the insecurity of one is the insecurity of all. But securing Nigeria is a possibility. I mean, right now, I think our indebtedness is about 25.7 trillion naira. So what have we done with all this money? All these big budgets and things like that. How much have we spent? Recently now, my country produced, and kudos to the government, mine-resistant military vehicles. All right. But I'm persuaded that we know what to do. And
like what one of the commentators said that Nigeria doesn't have the financial capacity to handle this issue of insecurity. Talking about if we bring Trump to Nigeria, he said we do not have the financial capacity to handle
Let me tell you, the world needs peace around the world. You know why? If anything happens in Nigeria, any trouble, and God forbid, and you begin to mobilize to other countries, which country is going to accommodate us? You have refugees, and that's at the international relations level. So there is a strong intention to ensure there is peace within our border. That's why they show interest. The Chancellor of Germany was in Nigeria. These people are coming, engaging us on electricity, how to industrialize our nation. So it's for us. The elders have a saying that it's a baby that opens the arms that the mother will carry. So Nigeria is a beautiful bride. This country is too blessed.
You've spoken so much.
Too blessed.
Now,
I'm asking again, let's even leave Donald Trump out of insurgency. If we hand over this country to Canada, that okay, Canada, for 2 years, come and manage Nigeria, and we hand over Canada to Nigerian government, that go and manage Canada, and you compare notes. So we can solve our problems by ourselves. The solutions for our problems are within Nigeria, and it's in leadership. It's leadership. If the leadership gets it right, and the leadership tells us the direction. When I travel and I'm in the aircraft, I don't know how the pilot maneuvers in the sky.
You arrive at your destination.
I'm going to New York, you fly me to New York. And I expect that the pilot should know where he's going. So before they come talking to us about voting for them, we assume they have a plan. And the expectations is that things should get better. But I love this country. I think we are just going through a phase. And it may be dark now.
Gotten it right.
It's our prayer. Honestly, the problems of Nigeria are not so bad if we have resourceful leadership. Resourceful leadership. You know, and we have said it over and over. You can imagine, so let's just go to the area of imagination, that today the 4 refineries are functioning maximally. We now have 17 modular refineries in some states of the country, and states are empowered to manage their resources. So Zamfara has the capacity of generating 2 billion annually through gold. It does not need to go and collect money in Abuja. Go and generate.
Exactly.
Kogi State with all the limestone, iron ore, develop the Ajaokuta rolling mill. Then Ogun State, you know, cocoa, we all return to this. I mean, Nigeria is blessed, sir. You look at the water resources, the fishes in the ocean. I mean, look at the oil and gas. We have the largest deposit of proven gas in Africa.
So when you talk about potentials, about capacity, we have it. But these things are driven by policies. Policies. And the essence of good governance is the formulation and implementation or non-implementation of policies. And these policies must make life meaningful for the people. But right now, we are pursuing tax and we are beginning to have embarrassing situations where these policies cannot stand the test of integrity. So we withdraw them. You push this out on POS, you withdraw it, push this one out, because people will continue to resist.
All right, that's all we can actually take on the program today. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of the program and knowing that at the end of the day, the bulk of the responsibility to make a change rests with leadership. Thank you so much for all those who have also sent in their messages. We appreciate you for being a part of the program. I am Jumoke Michaels. Bye-bye.
Before we go, I think one thing you have you left out is the fact that security is everybody's business.
We say it is everybody's business, but I don't have a gun, sir. You don't have a gun. We have empowered some people to secure us.
My name is
Let them secure us.
Thank you very much, sir.
God bless Nigeria.
See you next week.
Expressions without words won't happen.
Celebrating something?
Any other way, moments will feel joy. Been lost in the moment, the freedom. You will find that's what's celebrating. Bring your moment to life. Find your satisfaction in the nourishing trend of sparkling. Bring your moment to life. Find your satisfaction. Treasuring the now moment, forgetting yesterday. Call your phone, celebrating the moment, celebrating little wins, making big differences.